I only started doing sort of personal development a couple of years ago, and I was looking for something because I just felt there was something missing. And so I started with the healthy body and mind and just progressed from there, because these things just keep popping up all the time. And so I thought, well, yeah, maybe I should do that one next. And then the next one was the growth mastery, so maybe I should do that one next. And so it just sort of popped up at the right time when I was ready to do it, I guess. Growth means not accepting where I am and moving forward into who knows where it's going to take me. So, you know, like years ago I heard that people only use 10% of their brain, and that sort of scares me a bit. So growth is maybe being able to use even 1 or 2% more than I'm currently using. So that's what growth is to me. The main area is with my marriage. So the change there is that we've stopped fighting, mainly because I don't react anymore, and that was half the problem. Was I used to react. So now I just calmly respond, and no matter what Barb says to me, I just calmly respond, and that's changed the dynamics completely, because there's hardly any more fights anymore, and it's pretty good. The way Rod thinks is amazing, and he's able to sort of get in your mind, and he talks about things and you can relate exactly to what he's talking about, and you can associate some things in your own life. And you know, like last week he was talking about the love levels, and I could certainly pick where we were in our relationship as far as the love levels go. And so when he talks about things like that, it just falls into place. Okay, this is my story. I've been married for 41 years. I've got 2 kids and 5 grandkids. I've already forgotten what I was going to say. That's pretty good. I've never forgotten Barb's birthday or our anniversary. That should make me a love guru or a relationship master. So at 14, when you look at my, sorry, not at 14, when I look at my wedding photos, I look like I'm 14. And at 23, I didn't know that you could get married outside of a church, or that you could make up your own vows. Didn't find that out until probably 6 months later, when a friend had a garden wedding. And I said to Barb, is that even legal? And so we would have friends that would come up to us and say, we had a fantastic marriage and they'd want a marriage like ours. And I think, no, you don't. And we get invited to their weddings and we listen to their beautiful words that they'd say to each other. And 5-10 years later, they got a divorce. And I would think, yep, you've got a marriage just like ours. So, I'll get there. So I believe after the honeymoon, I believe there's 3 levels of marriage. All right, so there's the upper level, or utopia, which we're all trying to get to. There's the middle level or mediocre level, and then the basement level. And from the basement comes divorce and separation. So I tried to move our marriage into utopia, but sort of realised that wasn't going to happen. So I ended up really with World War III. So on our honeymoon we went sightseeing, and after a couple of stops, Barb said she wasn't getting out of the car, she'd had enough. So that was the first sign. And then one time I bought her some flowers. She accused me of having an affair, so she didn't get any flowers for a long time after that. So then I told my boss at some stage that I was going to leave when my daughter turned 16. And I've never told anyone this, but I'm about 90% sure that she had an affair with a one-night stand with a friend. And boy, was I going to use that bullet at some stage in our life. Now I've forgotten where we go from here. I'll have to check my notes. Oh yeah, so we've had our ups and downs in our marriage, and just on 6 years ago, it went through the basement floor. She accused me of having an affair with a 17-year-old staff member, which I was pretty chuffed about that. I can still pull my checks at nearly 60, you know. But there was no logic in that statement. For a start, a 17-year-old would want babies, not me. And the best I could offer her would be half our debt, maybe all of it if Barb had her way. And then shortly after that, the shit hit the fan. You understand what that means? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what choices did I have? I could stay or I could go. So at the time, our business was going down the tube. I was working open to close 7 days a week, and we were in debt to about $700,000. So the small amount of money that I could pay myself just added to our debt. And getting there. So no matter how I did the maths, leaving wasn't an option. I couldn't afford to. So even if I could afford to buy a house, I couldn't afford to furnish it. And Barb didn't have any other income as well, so it would have basically been a financial disaster for both of us. So the decision I made was to separate. So we separated, did our own thing, went our own way, told our family and friends that we were separated, and there was only one little problem. I only moved next door to the bedroom next door, and I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. It was the worst time of my life. The argument started as soon as I came down for breakfast. There was no good morning or anything like that. One time I was in the study with Barb's dog Mika, because Mika didn't have a clue who she was yelling at. So we were in the study and Barb was in the bedroom just yelling her head off. Couldn't understand a word she was saying, and I started laughing, just the ridiculous situation that I was in. So oh, there he's from. He's put the 5-minute mark up. Where was I? I'll have to check now. Sorry. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, so after, I was still trying to figure out how to get out of this mess. So suicide came into the equation, but that doesn't really solve anything. It's a cop-out, and it just moves the problem onto somebody else. So, oh, that's right. I'm getting there. One day I come down to breakfast and she threw a business card on the table. Relationships Australia. If you want to save our marriage, do something about it. And took me completely by surprise. I thought, wow, she still wants to save our marriage. So I made an appointment, then she made an appointment, then we both made an appointment. Then one day, the advisor, he managed to push the right button and she just went off like a firecracker. And up that point, I'd been the only person to experience that. Then after another session, I decided, well, the only way we were going to get back together was to move back into the main bedroom. So we started to get our marriage back on track. Growth U appeared on the scene, so I bought her, we had to do a thing where we had to give somebody a gift that we loved, so I bought her a bunch of flowers. It was 30 years between bunches. And yes, get there. So, where are we? Oh, that's right, the bullet that I was going to use for the one night stand, that lost its importance over time, and so I didn't want to stoop to Barb's level either. So I've bought her flowers a few times now since, I bought her some flowers a few times. One time I sent them to a school and the staff reaction was, he wants something, he's having an affair, or he's, whatever the other one was, doesn't matter. So I remember the first time I tried to change the way I responded to Barb's antagonism, and it usually resulted in a fight and me feeling miserable for the whole day. So we were at a shopping centre and I could feel my mood plummeting, and I walked outside saying to myself, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there, and I started whistling a song from my top 100. And I was thinking, I hope you guys at Growth, you know what you're talking about. became easier and easier, and so now when Barb goes off, I calmly respond, and no matter what she says to me. And so remember the honeymoon? Well, now that's transpired into watching TV, and so she wasted her life watching TV, which used to bug me something fierce, but I've sort of learnt to accept that now. And so the beauty of that is that I've now got this quiet spot where I can go on the deck and have a wine and be alone with my thoughts, because she'd rather watch TV than join me. And the same as when we go on the van, she'd rather sit on the beach. I mean, I'd get the chance to sit on the beach and have a glass of wine, and she'd rather watch TV in the van. So the lesson to be learnt from this is that it's all those old cliches of there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and you are responsible for your own life. So don't let other people control your emotions. And I love the quotes that Growth you send through on the day 365, and one that I like and I applied recently was feel the feeling, but don't become the emotion. Witness it, allow it, release it. And so that day, I wasn't miserable for the whole day, only 5 minutes, and that time will get less and less, I would think. So that's my story, and thank you for listening to me.